Welcome back to another Puzzling Time video, and today I'm going to give you an in-depth look at Reactor. Reactor is a packing puzzle. It's by Coremods. I've looked at some of his stuff before, and this puzzle is available not only on his website, on his Etsy website, but also on Puzzle Master. So I'm going to put the links below. I've been holding out to do this review because I've only just recently received the 6th set of packing puzzles. Yes, there are 6 set of pieces for this. Let's have a look at it. So it's a beautifully kind of themed box, this Reactor box. I've had this for a while. It's kind of well used, well loved. Really nice design. If we open it up, this piece is just used for holding this together when it's not in use. And then we have the little blurb on the inside. So the theming behind this is basically that we have a reactor and it's about to blow up, and we need to put all the rods back. It says here actually plutonium rods, but it has since been kind of expanded to different radioactive material. And you know you've done it correctly when the lid goes on and it doesn't slide around and it doesn't pop up, and I'll explain the mechanics of what might cause that. But if I put the packing piece in, it's all flush and it won't move around. So that's the purpose of this lid here, is really to make sure that you've done the puzzle correctly. So putting the blurb aside, and I'm going to put this down here just for a moment. I'm going to show you the pieces, and there are 6 different types of piece, and they range from beginner, beginner plus, intermediate, intermediate plus, advanced, advanced plus. I've solved all of these except Advanced Plus because this literally only came in the post the other day and I haven't had a chance to even get it out the bag yet. I'm going to tell you kind of my thoughts on all of the pieces and obviously the gameplay. So the beginner piece is just kind of orthogonal pieces. So these are just kind of your normal, square Z's, L's, T's, and the idea is to put these pieces into the grid. Now you'll notice we have different heights of rod and we have different depths of hole. So you've got to make sure that obviously you can't put a deep rod, a big rod into the small hole there. You have to put the larger rods into the larger holes. However, you can put smaller rods into larger holes. So basically the rod has to go into a hole that is at least its depth, so that it is not sitting up like this, because then your lid wouldn't go on. Now with these pieces, we have at the bottom these colourful areas. These are magnets, and you'll notice that sometimes when you put a piece on, it'll click and it's being held on there by a magnet that is not going to fall out. I have to pull out my fingers, and other times it bounces out because the magnets are repelling, and obviously that would make it impossible to keep my lid on flat because it would keep pushing off. But if I did have all of the pieces in correctly, then that lid would not move around. That's the first one. It's the beginner set. It's a great set. It's not overly tricky, but it does keep you busy for a short while. It's not a very, very quick solve. Then we move on to, so that was the plutonium. Then we move on to the next set, which is uranium. Now the uranium rods, we have this very different design. As well as them being kind of circular here, you'll notice as soon as you kind of start playing with these pieces, that you're going to have to put pieces in, and we've also got some diagonals being used here. So not just orthogonal placement, but diagonal placement is going to be very important. And that really does kind of add to the difficulty of these pieces. And this is classed as a beginner plus. You'll also notice actually with these, there are some pieces where they really do interlock. So there are kind of some hints and some help with the pieces, but it's a great set. If you found the beginner one kind of easy, you want to step it up, beginner plus. Next set, so we've had plutonium, we've had uranium, this is radium. Now I really like radium. I like the design of radium because actually if you look at the pieces, they have an extra layer on top. And that allows pieces kind of to cross over each other. So I can find, there's one. We can see how pieces can sit on top of each other like this. So we actually have quite a lot of surface area in this bag, but that's because quite a lot of it is crossed over and you've got to really find the correct layout. Now actually I found because of these crossover sections, there's one or two that are slightly restricted, and actually it's not too difficult. It's classed as the intermediate, but it's not too bad. Very clever. It's probably the kind of the cleverest design out of all of them. So it's a very unique way of packing the pieces in. After the radium, we've got the polonium. Now polonium, this one probably took me the longest of the 5 I've done so far. We have these tiny little cutouts here on the edges and on the corners, and we also have some parts that stick out on the edges and on the corners. And you've got to place these pieces together and kind of get them to match up. And it's a tricky solve, this one. The rods are not too restrictive, and there's some really kind of funky pieces in there that really do kind of mess with your perception of how this should all fit together. Definitely steps up. This is an intermediate plus for the polonium. Really kind of enjoyed that one. That definitely took me a while to solve. Now the one that looks best in its solved status of the 5 I've done so far is definitely this one, for these magnets sticking together. This is the thorium. Now thorium's, if you look at it, it's really unstable. All our rods are all kind of cracking up, and when you put these pieces in, they are on some really kind of funky angles, and they're all over the place. You know, your perception of whether things should be on a diagonal or on an orthogonal or whatever, it just kind of goes out the window with this one. But you know when you've got it right and you've got the pieces in, and you can see how it looks, and it looks fantastic. It holds the lid on perfectly as well. There's 1 or 2 pieces that kind of give you a good kind of gateway into the puzzle and really give you a good start on it, but even then you have to think to get the rest of the pieces in. Really clever kind of design. That not many rods on this one actually, so kind of few rods, but because of the outer kind of layer of the puzzle only fitting together in a particular way, a few rods, not many holes filled. There's still only kind of the one solution. So very, very smart design. Now this one I've not even opened. I've not even had these out. But just by receiving the bag and kind of looking in the bag, I can see, similar to the thorium, this is cesium. We don't have many rods. And we have, looking at this, these look like half rods. So on the cesium here we can see, yeah, we've got some half rods. So I'm going to have to find either some kind of other half rods to match up, or I'm going to have to find, you know, maybe just a half rod goes into the hole on its own. That's going to be really kind of tricky solve. These cutouts in these circles, hopefully there's a little bit of help with cutting down some of the possibilities for me. The uranium there, not the uranium, the last one we have plutonium, uranium, radium, polonium, thorium. The thorium was you know, a tricky solve. I think that and it was an advanced. This cesium is advanced plus, and when you get a piece like this, which is a non-magnetic single piece, I usually save them to last. They'll be the hardest to find. So I've got to try and find good placement for these magnetic pieces first, and then I'll probably save the non-magnetic ones for last. That's how I'm going to attack it. I don't know if that is the correct solution. I haven't solved this, but this is a great set. 6 sets of pieces, definitely ramps up kind of in difficulty and in cleverness of design. Once again, kind of very smart and very fun puzzle. Not too expensive either, so if you are on a budget or you are looking for something that's going to give you hours of fun without breaking your wallet, definitely one to check out. As you all know, designers like this getting picked up on Puzzle Master at the moment as well. They're really kind of pushing the independent creators of these puzzles, so big thumbs up to a company like that, giving individuals a chance to kind of get to a wider market. That's all for now. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed this in-depth look at this single puzzle. I don't usually go into this much detail with kind of 11 minutes on the clock, but hopefully that's just to give you a really good overview of what you can expect when you buy this puzzle. Okay everyone, that's bye for now. Speak to you very soon.